When I look around now, I see a lot of destruction in character, a lot of human suffering, because people just don't give a damn no more.
This museum, I think, will ensure that this remains the movie-making capital of the world for generations to come.
It's been completely amazing. It's the best thing that I think that could happen to my uncle and to my family.
Felicia Luna prides herself on keeping a spotless house, even the day before she has brain surgery.
Your eye exam went good?
She's at peace with the operation because she has been inside her own brain through virtual reality.
This gives me a clear image of what exactly it looks like and the size of it.
Luna traces the path her neurosurgeon will take to clip her aneurysm and stop its growth.
I was an emotional wreck, but now I feel like I know exactly what's going to happen.
So does the doctor. On the eve of the operation, Dr. Gary Steinberg reviews Luna's case to train future surgeons. The Stanford medical students appear as avatars inside her skull.
Kevin, can you see what I'm pointing at? What is that? That's the cella, and what's this here?
Steinberg leads them through Luna's brain, explaining his strategy.
So now we're going to go through into the craniotomy site.
It's also a rehearsal for him as he travels through the brain in 360 degrees.
So we can see the back of the aneurysm, the side. We can see its relationship to the parent vessel that it arises. This is something we could never do before.
The next day, monitors in the operating room display the same 3D images for Luna's actual surgery. Contrast dye makes the vessels appear in CT scans and angiograms, which are then reconstructed into the VR program. Dr. Steinberg does 1 or 2 of these VR surgeries every week, but he foresees a future where he's not even in the operating room. He thinks someday he'll operate remotely with robotic arms, but the lag time makes that impossible now. Dr. Steinberg makes a final VR confirmation.
I'm simulating drilling away the bone that's overlying the aneurysm.
Minutes later, he starts the real operation in what's now familiar territory. For now, Stanford uses this VR technology for brain and spine cases. There is no extra charge for the use of VR. Donors and the department pay the fee. Doctors say the more complicated the anatomy, the more useful the technique. Luna's surgery is successful. After all, Dr. Steinberg has accomplished it many times before, virtually.
Now the other way.
Curiosity got the best of the Dupins. They had to get on board.
I want to get one for my house. Just to get to the mailbox.
It's a shuttle bus with doors and seats, but no brake pedal or steering wheel or driver. A thrilling experience for someone who just moved to California from the car capital of the U.S., Detroit, Michigan.
I love adventure, so if something were to go wrong, it'd probably be more interesting.
I would ride in it. Yeah, for sure. I don't think it goes very fast, does it?
Let's take a ride and see. The shuttles can go about 16 kilometers with GPS unmanned navigation on an electric battery-powered motor. It's a smooth ride, but jarring for the brain, since the landscape moves, but no one drives. The Bishop Ranch Business Park wants to have 20 of these in 10 years. The driverless vehicles will carry 12 commuters to 600 individual offices. They'll replace these gasoline-powered buses.
Now, we don't have enough resources to widen our public right-of-ways or to improve them in such a way that we can get that kind of efficiency. So autonomy is the real answer for congestion, particularly on our freeways.
The buses, built by a French company, cost $250,000 each. The shuttle is equipped with numerous sensors, giving it 360-degree vision, so that when something walks in front of the shuttle, it stops.
It's like a radar. So it detects all the objects in about a 200-meter radius on top. And it's got sensors in all four corners of the vehicle there. And then it also has sensors in the front. And that windshield wiper that you see in the back is not for the windshield because it's too small. It's for that camera.
Randy Iwasaki, who led the regulatory effort to get the shuttles, says the bus has one more hurdle to pass before the public can actually take a ride. Organizers say success will be realized when people get on and look down at their cell phones, treating a driverless shuttle just like a normal ride. We're back. The Tenderloin. At one time, it was the center of San Francisco's vibrant music scene.
When I look around now, I see a lot of destruction in character, a lot of human suffering, because people just don't give a damn no more.
Now, the Tenderloin is considered the city's most notorious neighborhood, home to the homeless, drug dealers, and their addicts who shoot up on the sidewalk, the mentally ill, and the people who ignore them. Except for Jacob Savage.
I mean, is there anything that I can help you with right now?
Savage stands out for not avoiding them, and for carrying a trumpet, but we'll get to that in a second.
Hold on, I'm sorry, but I gotta make sure that we're not getting any reports when these phone calls are coming.
Savage is in demand. His mobile phone is his work. Savage's group Concern invented this app for reporting people in an apparent mental health crisis. The observer types out a form on the app to describe what's happening. Words are checked for gender, age, race, and the surroundings.
You can describe the person who's going through the crisis. You can add notes. You could even take a photo.
Leaders like Savage get a notification and through a text assign the incident to a concerned responder. Or in this case, Savage rushes to the address himself. It's one of more than 2,000 reports they've answered.
You guys all good? I help point people to services and stuff.
Concern's goal is to intervene with mental health assistance before San Francisco police arrive and make arrests. Savage imagines a day when Concern isn't out here responding on the streets every day. Instead, he wants the community to be the first responders, neighbor to neighbor.
Want to hear something?
Yeah.
What you want to hear?
What you got? Some jazz.
Savage is trying to earn the community's trust as he tries to enlist more residents to respond.
It's jazz.
He's been at it for 3 years, diffusing crises with his mild voice and his trumpet. Along the route, Eddie needs help. Savage guesses he's strung out on speed, crystal meth.
Hey, brother, I'm Jacob. What's your name, man?
Eddie. I'm from here.
Eddie?
Yeah.
Cool. Are you doing okay?
Savage tries something. The music signals another responder.
Okay, so keep walking like towards 6th on Market.
He gives Eddie the common currency of the neighborhood, a smoke. Savage says his priority is getting Eddie to trust him.
Everybody wants a cigarette out here, and it gets them to breathe, it gets them to pause, at least for a moment. Hey, hit that cigarette, take a deep breath.
But right now, Eddie can't even keep the cigarette in his mouth. Savage knows he'll see him on the street again and hopes next time maybe he can convince Eddie to get the help he needs. Carolyn Pursuti, VOA News, San Francisco, California.
How do you save digital material?
Many other cities around the world have really good film museums, and yet Los Angeles didn't have one. And what we want to be, of course, is the best film museum now that we actually have one. So I can pretty much say I think we're going to be the premier film museum in the world. And there's been a number of attempts in Los Angeles to create a film museum, and it just didn't happen for one reason or another. And finally, here we are. We're in the middle of it right now. It's being built around us, and it will open up in 2019, and Los Angeles will have the museum it finally deserves.
And Eric Garcetti, Mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah, the movie industry is one of our core businesses. It's really our middle class. It's a clean, non-polluting industry, good jobs for people in a variety of things, from being electricians and camera operators to being actors and writers. And every time we are able to spend money here on movies, it reinvests itself on our main streets.
You know, filmmaking is, to me, I think, the most important art form of the 20th century, and now I think into the 21st century too. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that, you know, many people think, oh, well, ticket sales are down on movies or this kind of thing, so maybe film, had its heyday. I actually see it differently. I actually think that film is expanding right now. I think it's moving in all kinds of directions. It's in the theater still, but it's also projected onto buildings. It's also on your iPhone. It's on, it's on your computer. You can download it in various ways. It is creating liquid architecture. It's part of the art gallery world right now as well, with film installations. So film is everywhere now, and it's part of the fabric of the city, I think. It's become 1,000 different kinds of cinemas, and I think we need to address that too in this museum. It'll be about the past, but also about the future.
My name is George Williman. I'm the Nitrate Film Vault Manager for the Library of Congress. Back in the early 60s, this facility was built as a storage facility for the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. And its second job was to act as a nuclear contingency program if the Soviet Union was going to drop the atomic bomb on Washington, D.C. So I started with the library in 1984 while I was in college. My greatest love has always been early film, silent film, and here I was working with one of the largest collections of early film in the world. So much has been lost. A huge percentage of all film has been lost. We have a good portion of it. Probably our biggest strength is we have pretty much everything Columbia Pictures made up to about 1950. Columbia Pictures donated their negatives to the Library of Congress back in the 70s, and it was everything, literally. Features, shorts, cartoons, all the Three Stooges shorts up to about 1950, Frank Capra's films that he made for Columbia. It's an amazing collection, and it is our largest one. And then all sorts of other films from all over the place. We even have some foreign collections of millions and millions of feet. Back here, just in Nitrate alone, we have over 150,000 reels of film. Space is a premium, and with all the archives. We were fortunate that we had this new facility built to give us a little bit of space, but we could use more. There's a lot of film out there that we are hoping to somehow acquire, but we're going to need more space for it. The introduction of digital into cinema has been really interesting, and it's a really great thing on one hand. I mean, it's allowed a lot of filmmakers to do things on a smaller budget that would have been impossible 20, 25 years ago. But the big problem is that how do you save digital material? Because digital, as a rule, is very, very iffy. I mean, you can only, you have only a couple different ways you can store it. You can store it magnetically or optically or on a card or something like that, but none of those are permanent. George Lucas and his Star Wars films, he's actually having those digital masters put back onto 35mm film to preserve them. And I think that's what's going to eventually happen with film. I mean, there are directors who still want to keep shooting on it, and more power to them. But for the most part, I think film is going to end up being the preservation medium. Those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it. So I try to do my part to make sure that everybody remembers the past.
I'm probably better comfortable saying late 19th, early 20th, but we could go back and tweak that if we have to.
The Historical Society of Harford County has been a long-time collector of textile work as well as paper and artifacts. And about 10 years ago, we realized we had quite a nice collection. We had one exhibit, and we decided we really needed to store these pieces properly. So about a year ago, we finally got this room prepared and started cataloging and documenting all our pieces. We have everything from about late 1700s, a few pieces, into, say, the Civil War era and forward. We have a lot more pieces, quite a nice collection. A number of us have been to textile conservation conferences to learn how to preserve the pieces. Some sewing and restoration might be needed to stabilize a piece. You need acid-free storage materials, the boxes, the tissue paper. We store it properly. We also document it for our computer system. And you were looking at Civil War clothes. We have a child's outfit from the Civil War right here too. This goes back to the Civil War era. Hey, you want to pick it up and hold it? Somebody want to go?
It may have been a boy's outfit.
It could have been a boy's outfit, yeah, but it goes back to the Civil War era, the dress and the jacket.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and these colors were very popular then, brown and blue together.
Is it easy to identify the era?
That can be difficult, especially for volunteers such as we are, who are not really professional about it. The internet's a great tool today. You can find almost anything on the internet. Back then, people took more care with clothing. It was not as disposable as it is today. And there were times when clothing was often used till it fell apart, or they cut it down to make other pieces of attire, and eventually it became rags. I think it's good for young people to see these things and learn about the social history, and learn about their background, what their grandmother might have worn, to see some of the fancy work that people did in times past. Well, the other one got lost.
I prayed that God would send me an angel. And God certainly did send me an angel, straight from heaven. I'm a very religious person. Before I ever went back to Vietnam, I prayed that God would send me an angel, and He certainly did. And God certainly did send me an angel, straight from heaven. After 2 years, I re-enlisted to go on to Vietnam, because I knew what the pay was. The pay was very good. So I went back to Vietnam.
Có những ngày nó cũng lỡ xa là đó rửa, chứ tôi không đi tìm mà. Cái chiếc xe nó dù có sạch nhưng mà cũng đem tới đó để rửa. Chứ hồi nó thấy Mỹ sợ lắm, nó thiệt tình. Mà Mỹ nhiều lắm, Mỹ lấy chai nhiều lắm. Hồi đầu tiên là họ tay nhõm, ông nói tay nhõm rồi mình nói tay mình nhõm. Rồi ông đi lấy xe tới cái là ông kêu ê chút chút đó. Phần ông có vô nước, phần tôi có vô nước. Tôi vào dẫn rửa xối xa, xối ướt lên, ướt người. Ông la, ông chùi cái ông ôm tôi, cái ông xin lỗi, cái ông ok. Cái tôi ok là bác đó, ông mới theo mấy cái thông. Nghĩ mình có chồng có con, mình dẫn ra thôi, chứ mình đâu có nghĩ đến nào có con với ổng.
The government wouldn't let me bring her home anyways. That's the way the government works.
Ổng về, ông sổ ra cái ông biết, ông thấy liền, ông nói con Mỹ, trong thời gian Mỹ rút là họ coi tôi là coi gia đình tôi này. Mà họ cũng khinh khi lắm chứ, họ cũng nói. Nhưng mà mình đâu có rất bỏ được, mình mon nạn được, mình đã đau được là thà mình chịu khinh chứ mình không bỏ con mình.
Đời sống của mình cứ nói là tại sao là không có tình thương cha. Hồi nhỏ đi học á thì người ta họ cũng nói họ nói là thứ con lai 12 lỗ đi. Nói không phải ấy chứ lúc mình đi làm giấy mình kiểu như khổ lắm, nghèo khổ lắm, mình nói mình tự tử mình chết á. Tại vì đi 2-3 chặng luôn mà không được, về chán lắm. Cái cuộc sống của mình cứ mình nói là sẽ tự tử chết.
I get this message just out of the blue, just saying, "Hey, I'm a DNA detective and I'm trying to help a family locate their father from Vietnam." I just started crying. It's like I knew what this was about. I knew.
I just couldn't wait to see her.
It's been completely amazing. It's the best thing that I think that could happen to my uncle and to my family. He was asking how to pronounce her name. She typed back. She said, "My dad can call me anything." And so I told him that. And he said, "She's my angel. She's Angel."
Angel is my only one and only daughter. And I'm very proud of it.
Bác sĩ cho biết là ông không còn bao nhiêu lâu hết. Thấy ông tội lắm chứ. Thấy mình không còn với ba mình gần gũi, với lại không có cái hoàn cảnh như vậy, không có gần gũi với ông, không biết là mai mốt như thế nào.